right, how's it going? My name is James, and I am your professor for Human Resource Management 381, HRM 381, the online section specifically. And the purpose of this is the course introduction video. So we're going to go through kind of logistics and timing and sequence and basically how to succeed in the course, my expectations of you, how to get a hold of me for any questions, all that kind of stuff, cover assignments and schedule, etc. So before we get too far into it, I do want to point out that I've taught online for a while. I've learned a few things, and one of them is that once we get into kind of the dog days of 6, 7, 8 weeks in, I notice people are maybe not watching all the lectures or something. I totally get that. I get it 100%. So if you are going to skip a video, totally fine. This one's not the one to skip because we're going to cover everything that is included in the course. And like I said, really how to succeed in it. So like I said, my name is James Avey. I've been at Central since 2007. Married, 4 kids, live on a small farm outside of town. Worked at Boeing for a while in HR, so where I got some boots on the ground experience, and then went to the University of Nebraska, which has been a really tough several years for our football program, but that's a whole nother topic. I did my PhD at the University of Nebraska and then came back here to really my home, Central Washington. So that's a bit about me. I'm not sure if anyone cares, but if you want to know more, feel free to reach out. So let's get right to it here. The basic course structure, maybe we'll start with this. The basic course structure, you can think about it in terms of how do you get the information that you're expected to reproduce on tests, quizzes, projects, stuff like that. So that's in the left-hand column here. So most of the information, you'll get the course content through video lectures. They're going to be a bit like this. Actually, there'll be YouTube links like this. Materials that I provide on Canvas. That would include helpful things like study guides or other articles that I think relate to what we're talking about. There's a book, of course, and you can access that through the module section in Canvas. I've been kind of interviewing some of my HR seniors lately, asking them, hey, like, what percentage of the classes do you read the book? Some of them say none. Some of them say, all, Dr. Avey, I promise, which is, yeah, no. But it seems like the majority of folks say, I will check out the book for sure once. And if it's my major course of study, if it's like I have to know this stuff, then I'm going to press into it hard. Otherwise, I'll do what I have to do to get by. Again, I totally get that, but it is there. And all the information that we'll be talking about, quizzes and projects, is also available there in addition to me. There's optional homework you can do, and that's if you don't feel confident about a particular chapter quiz coming up. There's like practice quizzes and all kinds of, finding vocab words, stuff like that. That's also available online. And the last one is you can get information about the course through extra credit, which I'll get to that in a little bit. That's meetings that are twice a month with a large group of people and professional HR speakers, and then meetings with me, if you want to, once a week. And we'll cover that when we get to the schedule. It'll be Thursdays. In case you're planning your work schedule for the quarter, it'll be Thursday evening. I want you to know that now. How you reproduce your work. So how do you basically show me, yes, I learned what the Americans with Disabilities Act is, and I understand, tax implications of retirement plans, or I understand how to manage someone and how to fire them and how to hire them and interview them and all that kind of stuff. How you reproduce that is through 6 quizzes, and again, I'll cover those in detail here in just a minute, but that's a big chunk of points in the course. The project, you're going to have a final video project you're going to turn in. This is basically where you're going to become a subject matter expert on any topic you care about. So think about something in your life. I had a guy once, he loved big game hunting, like elk hunting, deer hunting, caribou, stuff like that. So he did his project on how to recruit guides on the northern slope for hunting guides. Great, it's awesome. Figure out something that you care about, connect it to HR, and become, I would say, the best in the world, but become an expert on a matter and then present it. So more on that in just a minute. And obviously interactions with me if you would like to. So quick snapshot, that's kind of what it's like. Nothing super complex about it. Pretty simple. Everything's laid out there in Canvas. Here's the agenda for this video. We're going to go through, start with the syllabus, schedule, assignments, modules is where you access everything. Quizzes, I have a little section I want to do called I'm Sorry. One of the weird things about this course is I accept, well, weird to some people, is I accept 0 late work, no matter what the situation. No late work accepted, but I will drop your lowest quiz, which usually means somebody was unable to take it for whatever reason. And then we'll wrap up with some kind of helpful hints. So with that, let's get after it here. Your Canvas will look something like this. I'm teaching a few sections of this class, so this may not be exactly what yours looks like, but for the most part, it's a pretty cut and dry formula and just rinse and repeat. So my contact information on top. You can email me at any point. I'm trying to get better at getting away from my screens, but normally 6 a.m. to midnight-ish, I'm generally available. I'm trying not to be. So if you email me and you haven't heard from me in 24, 48 hours, I didn't get it. I'm usually on it pretty quick. If you need to get a hold of me sooner, or if I'm not responding for whatever reason, if you call my office number right there, 509-963-3381, if you call that, it will go straight through to my cell phone. So heads up, I probably don't know you, and I probably won't know your number. So when that comes through, I probably won't answer it. No big deal. Just leave a voicemail. Say, hey, this is Bill, this is Bonnie, whoever, from class, give me a call back, and I'll call you right back. Okay, a bunch of kind of College of Business macro level stuff, course description. I'm not going to get into it right here. It's here for you. But down here at the schedule, and again, this schedule may not be your schedule. I grabbed one out of winter quarter here. But this is generally what it's going to look like. You will have the first week of class introduction, which is this, usually a short week. And my hope is by the end of this week, you will not only have seen this video, which congratulations, you're doing that right now, and gone through the syllabus, but you'll take what I call a pre-class quiz. So that will I'll give you usually a couple of days to do that, but that's required to access any of the other assignments. So class intro, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3 the following week, and then our first actual quiz is due. So let me talk about the pre-class quiz for just a second. The university, since we've been doing online teaching, has dabbled in different software platforms to deal with things like academic integrity, cheating, stuff like that. I'm sure everybody knows all about it, or at least heard discussion about it. The one that Central Washington University has settled on is called Respondus. Some people don't mind it. Some people absolutely hate it. I've never met anyone that's like, oh my gosh, yes, the coolest software ever. It is what it is. It's the tool we have. So for this class, we'll be using both Respondus Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor, which is like the webcam that watches you and studies you a little bit. If you don't want to do that, you can take the class with me. You can take the test with me in Ellensburg. I can set up a time. If you're on the west side, that's not possible. I highly recommend you drop the class. Those two will be required for all of the 6 quizzes, those 2 things. So the purpose of the pre-class quiz is just that. Did you download the browser, go in, it's a bunch of basic questions like, hey, is there an introduction video? There's no points. It's just for you to be able to get on. Yes, I got the browser, turn the webcam on, and the biggest one is be able to do what's called an environmental scan. So there's instructions in there about how to do that. It's just checking out your workspace, and I'm a little dogmatic on this only because it is the tool that we have, and the tool doesn't work if we don't use it at all. I'm not saying it works super well even if you do use it, but like I said, it's the tool we have. So as you take that first kind of pre-class quiz, just read what it says there about doing an environmental scan. It means everything that's right in front of you, from side to side, 360 around the room, all that kind of stuff. That is the purpose of doing that pre-class quiz. And if you don't do that, I will go ahead and say, no, it's not passed. You have to do it again. That's for you. It's not for me. It's not because I like going through pre-class quizzes worth 0 points. It's for you to make sure you don't get burned on the next 6 quizzes. So go to quiz 1. You do a great job. You get an A. The video kicks back to me. It was not a complete scan. Eyes shifting around. That's a 0. And even if you weren't doing anything wrong, that's a 0 for just not following instructions. So that's why I have it there. And I know it's annoying and I don't like it either. But like I said, it's a tool that we have. So after you get through the second week of class and you've taken the first quiz, which is over chapters 1 through 3, if you're okay with that process, then you're fine for the course. Because it's basically that same thing, rinse and repeat 5 more times. So there's course content, which again I'll show you here in just a minute. You log on, you take the quiz, you follow all the instructions. Go into week 3, chapters 4 and 5, quiz at the end of the week. Going to the next week, so there'll be quizzes either every week or at least every other week throughout the quarter. Questions on that, obviously, let me know. I'll explain more on quizzes here in just a minute. Just want to hit the schedule. Then we get into the HR project concept. This just means, what do you want to do? It's 25 points. It's not a big assignment, but this is basically saying, here's what I'm thinking, AV. Is this connected to HR in a meaningful way? This is kind of a good kind of project. That's it. Submit it, half a page, Microsoft Word. We keep going. Quiz 3, quiz 4, all the way down to you're going to give me an outline. The outline is basically, here's my plan for this pristine, beautiful, awesome video project I'm going to pull off. Here's the content of that video, not the process. You don't need to explain to me about lighting and sound and, disco balls in the background. Like, I don't need to know any of that. But just the content from your mind, from your heart, coming out of your mouth. How are you going to show that you are a subject matter expert? Quiz 5, turn in the final project. Quiz 6 is the final exam. It is not comprehensive. Quiz 6 is only over chapters 15 and 16. So that's our schedule. Pretty straightforward. I'll talk about the quizzes for just a minute. Like I said, we'll be using Respondus Lockdown Browser and Respondus Lockdown Monitor. If you want to install those, you'll need to. If you don't have them already, those will be over in the modules. I'll show you in just a minute. Quiz 1 over 3 chapters, Quiz 2 over 2 chapters, and it's pretty much like that for the entire quarter. Each of the quizzes will either be over 2 or 3 chapters. Obviously, the quizzes with 3 chapters will probably have a few more questions. Two chapters, a few less questions, but all the quizzes are worth 100 points, right about at 100 points. They're split between fill-in-the-blank questions and multiple choice questions. There's kind of both. You will be able to see what you got wrong after the quiz, but you won't be able to see the right answer. The reason for that is I need to go in and look at everybody's quiz, because if the answer was reasonable accommodation for the Americans with Disabilities Act, and you put in the answer reasonable assistance, or you even explained it, this is where we evaluate the work environment and try to find some kind of modification to. It's like, okay, you actually knew it, you just didn't know the word, so I'm going to give you points for that if it looks like that you actually knew it. Every Thursday at 6:30 we will meet, and if we had a quiz the previous weekend, we will go over the quiz that Thursday at 6:30. We'll go through all the right answers so everybody can see what was there, and then we'll use that time to prep for the upcoming quiz. So Thursday nights, you can think of it as like almost like a quiz prep. Go over what happened, and then go over the next quiz that's coming up. All quizzes, obviously, closed book, closed notes, closed screens, just what's in your brain, your keyboard in front of you, and that's it. The scanning methodology of the Respondus Monitor, it's the webcam. It kind of looks at all kinds of things. There's reflection from other eyes, phones, books. Looks at eye movement is a big one. So someone's like this and going like this all the time, it's gonna flag that one. So don't let it freak you out, but just sit down and just take the quiz. And like I said, if you're in Ellensburg and you're like, I hate that sneaking camera in my face, just come to my office, no big deal. You can take the quiz there. It'd be nice to meet you. I have been told that if you use a Chromebook primarily, there are some challenges with the Respondus software. So I bring that up now just so you have a plan for the quizzes. If you're mainly a Chromebook user and it's worked before, then don't worry about it. I mean, just go on early and make sure you can access it. But if you log on to take it and there's a problem, it'll be really unfortunate if that's Friday night when it's due. So one of my helpful hints I'll talk about later is just jump on a day early. Jump on a day early if you can, or at least morning if you can, because if there's a problem, you can hustle down to the tech center, call tech support, and be like, hey, this thing's not working, got to get it fixed. The other one is having a backup plan, a buddy with a different laptop or PC with a removable webcam or whatever. Just plan for it, that's all. So those are the quizzes. They'll be pretty constant. There'll be announcements every week that reminds you of them as well. So the HR project, 200 points. It's worth 2 quizzes. 800 points in the class, so you can see this is a really big chunk. I've broken it up into 3 things, but the HR project is basically your time to shine, something that you care about in your life and something that you think is potentially interesting or conceptually interesting in HR, and then merge the two and basically become an expert on them. It's research and analysis. It's not just what's in your head, it's what you go find. So going to rigorous sources, probably not like businessnews.com or something like that, but going to actually strong, rigorous sources where I evaluate the content and I go, yeah, this person actually knows what they're talking about. They didn't just pull something off of CNN or Fox News or one really cool Wall Street Journal article. They actually did some in-depth research and analysis, and they came to logical conclusions. Most of the time when people do these, they're persuasive. Someone's trying to say minimum wage should be abolished. Someone's saying minimum wage should be $80 an hour, whatever. Most of the time they're persuasive, but they don't need to be. They can be something that you want to learn about. Washington State just passed a paid family medical leave, which might sound boring, but it's kind of a big deal. There's not many states in the nation that have it, and it is wreaking havoc for HR departments because it's a pain in the neck to actually execute. It's not a money issue, it's just an execution issue. So for instance, you could research that and say, here's a better process. Here's how they could do it. Or you could research it and make a training tutorial video for managers to say, here's what you can and can't do. Here's how it gets paid for. Here's the process. Anything you want to become an expert on, that's your HR project. So early on in the quarter, you just give to me half a page description of your topic and general approach to how you're going to research that topic. 25 points for that. The next one later on, as you saw on the schedule, is a project outline. The project outline is just, here's the content, here's what I'm going to say. The reason that's important is if you're going to talk about Civil Rights Act of 1964 and employment discrimination based on race or gender or whatever it is, and you leave out that was updated in 1991 and there's some different rules, I can see that in the content and be like, don't go public with that. You actually don't know what you're talking about yet. That was a great law, and the law was shifted. So that's the reason for me to see the content, to make sure you don't come out as a subject matter expert and look like a subject matter bonehead. We don't want to do that. Project outline. Okay, and the last one, obviously the big one, 150 points, project video presentation. All you're giving to me on that's a YouTube link. And if you're like, I don't want people on YouTube being able to see me, then you can leave it unlisted. And if that's not enough, then you can leave it private. So anyway, all you're doing is sending me a YouTube link. I guess if you want to use there's another video hosting website. I forgot the heck, there's another name of it. If you know another video hosting website, all I want from you is a link. I don't want a file. I do recommend reading this section more than once as you go through it, because a big part of the evaluation is, was it a good video? Yes, did you know what you were talking about, but was it also a good video? So 5 to 8 minutes in length, got to have the minimum components, introduce the topic, the impetus for the topic. Like in the first 20 seconds of you talking, anybody watching that video should go, oh man, this is really important, or oh, this is really cool, or I never thought of that. You're trying to show someone that what you're talking about actually matters. That's the impetus. You don't have to use that word. The evolution of the topic historically, like where does it come from, where is it today, current thinking, and then practical recommendations for HR professionals. Obviously data, tables, charts, graphs, all those things are really important to show that you, again, actually know what you're talking about. Grading for this major assignment in the class, aesthetics is 50 points. Is it a good video? Were you dressed appropriate? Did you speak well? Was there a lot of ahs and ums and you weren't really sure? Did you say stuff that like you couldn't even read it on the screen? Was there background noise of Jake brakes on semi trucks going by? Does the lighting stink, etc.? I know all y'all judging my video right now, saying, James, your lighting stink. Yeah, I know, I got it. So aesthetics, does it look nice? Does it look professional? Comprehensiveness, did you hit all the things that needed to be hit for your topic? Were there any major things omitted? Were counterpoints, so you're trying to make a point, somebody says, in your research they say, here's why what you student believe is wrong. Did you just ignore those, or did you expose them and then beat them down if you want to do that? Well designed, again, you get the idea here. Comprehensiveness is, did you get everything, and accuracy is, did everything that you got, was it actually accurate? So was it valid? Okay, a couple helpful hints on this. Choose a topic that somehow interests you in some way. Number 2, get support from somebody who knows how to make a good video. There's enough people that are trying to make their living being streamers or whatever right now. Find someone that has a lot of like and subscribes or followers on Twitch or whatever it is, but somebody who's good at it, and get some feedback from them. Make sure you have rigorous sources. So we're gonna want to see, like, where does this stuff come from? There's no reference page that you're gonna submit for the project. It's not like that, but you can say, according to Forbes in a 2018 article, blah 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 blah, or according to Dr. Joe Schmo at Stanford University, blah 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 blah. That's what I mean by more rigorous sources. Get an early start. It's just a tough one to cram, and I know, look at Canvas, you see the schedule, you're like, oh, it's not due until the end of the quarter. It's just a tough one to cram for, and you'll get exposed pretty quick. All right, moving on. Those are the major assignments. I already said this. No late assignments in the class. Kind of no matter what. Car wreck, don't worry, that assignment will be dropped. Sick, don't worry, that assignment will be dropped. Had to work, don't worry, that assignment will be dropped. I drop one and only one quiz. So whatever your lowest quiz is, even if you did them all, if you got between a 90 and a 98% on all the quizzes, I'll drop the 90, which will increase your grade a little bit. So I'll drop the lowest quiz. So if you don't want to do a quiz, I don't recommend that, but if you don't want to do a quiz, that'd probably be number 5. I do not drop the last quiz. So it's not like I'm rolling along, got a good grade, I'm just not going to take the final. The last one needs to be taken. So quizzes 1 through 5, the lowest one of those will be dropped. So if you miss one, don't worry about it. No late assignments can come back to bite you on the HR project presentation. That is due on the date that it's due. I do not recommend turning it in that day. 3 weeks prior would be just fine. 2 weeks, 1 week, just fine. You can turn it in whenever you want, but just not after the deadline. So, questions on that, let me know. Last thing would be extra credit. There are extra credit points if you want to come to HRM meetings. There's a link here to know what HRM is. It stands for the Society for Human Resource Management. It's also in the assignments tab, so you'll see it there in our calendar. I will put the Zoom links in there. All you do for this meeting is show up to a meeting. It's a professional environment. We've invited in people that we respect. Many times they're alums from the program that are off taking over the world. So I ask you, of course, to be respectful, leave your cameras on, that kind of stuff. You don't have to interact with them. If they say something interesting, yeah, feel free, engage and interact. When the meeting is over, just submit to me a short summary, paragraph, half a page, of this is what the person talked about, here's what I thought was cool, and submit that in Canvas, and that's 15 points extra credit for each one of those. And just submit, like I said, a summary. Okay. Grades. Let's flip over to assignments really quick. And this is going to look messy, but you won't be able to see this page. This is just what I see, but it might kind of help you as we go throughout the quarter. So each time that you want to show up to these Thursday at 6:30 meetings, I'll take roll, and that's potential extra credit if you want to do that. They have the pre-class quiz. And every time here it says optional Zoom, optional Zoom, optional Zoom. You can see the dates. It might be different, like I said, for your class. But basically every week we're going to meet, cover anything that comes up from the class. Modules is where you'll access the information. So this is probably where you're going to live for the most part. Maybe revisit the syllabus if you have questions, but it's probably where you're going to live. Introduction video is right here. You're already watching it, so don't worry about it. That's the link. If you're trying to access the book or do the optional homework, stuff like that, and you can't, this is the link for tech support to help them. And these next 2 PDFs are very important. Those are for the Respondus Lockdown browser and for Monitor. So if you are having trouble with those, here's where you find information. This is the links to download, instructions, all that kind of stuff. So if you say, hey dude, I'm trying to get on, take that pre-class quiz, and it's not working through Canvas, I'm going to email you back and say, look at modules. Where right there it tells you how to download the browser and go through it. Then we have the pre-class quiz. Just click this, open up the Respondus browser, get after it. This is a prerequisite, obviously, for the rest of the course content. Super easy, 0 points. Again, it's just to make sure the technology works for you and that you can do an environmental scan appropriately of your area. After that, like I said, it's a pretty standard structure for each module. 6 modules, 6 quizzes. It's not rocket science. First module is chapters 1, 2, and 3. So, very first link here, those are all of my PowerPoint slides for the chapter. Next link is the video lecture. It's in about a 15 or 20 minute chunk. It's part 1, then part 2 for chapter 1. That's it for chapter 1. My slides for chapter 2, a link to the book if you'd like to read it, and then video lecture. Video lecture, I would say, is really important because that's where I do a lot. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the things that I think are the most important, and I'm going to test you on the things that I think are the most important. Chapter 3, same thing. Chapter 3 is long. It's a lot about employment legislation, sexual harassment, class action lawsuits, wrongful discharge, like all that kind of stuff. It gets really messy and really fun in Chapter 3. So it's a bit longer. There are 3 parts. I've tried to break it up so you don't have to sit there and watch an hour and a half lecture. They're broken up as much as I can. Last one, at the end of each of the modules, you will see a study guide. And the study guide is basically just that. These are the topics I'm going to quiz you on. And they're broad. They're not going to be like, in 1938, what law was passed. It's going to say, I want you to know early employment legislation from the 30s, because there's several of them, stuff like that. So they're broad, but it'll tell you kind of where to focus. And then when you're ready, take the quiz. Early, I suggest, but take the quiz. So, if you're comfortable with that, that's basically all of the 6 modules, just repeated. Module 2, you got some PowerPoint slides, you got some lecture, you got links to the book. Same thing with chapter 5. Then you have a study guide, then you have a quiz. So this is what you'll see mainly on modules. And again, if you have questions on that, I'll be available every Thursday at 6:30 to talk through it. Okay, syllabus, assignments, modules, quizzes. All right, let's keep rolling here. Almost done. Quizzes. I'm going to repeat some of the stuff, but just make sure you know it. Getting used to Respondus with a 0-point introduction quiz. Again, that is the purpose of that pre-class quiz. Just download the browser, make sure the webcam's going. It shows me and it shows you, yes, you can log in, you can take the quizzes. And that's so nobody gets caught late. The environmental scan is, I don't know how to say, it's really important. And it is a bummer. It's one of the most annoying things about the software and about how we as faculty have to apply it. If the environmental scan is not done, it's going to be a 0, no exceptions. So make sure you do that really well. Oh man, last quarter was terrible. I say in here, don't slack all the way through quiz 6. So most people get it right after quiz 1. Some people get burned on quiz 1, but by the time quiz 2, it's like, all right, he ain't playing. We're going to go ahead and do this correctly. It was quiz 6, final exam, very last one. It's 100 points. Person had done it just great for the first 5 quizzes, and they just skipped it. They just didn't do it really at all for quiz 6. So I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I thought it was the last one. They got a 0, and that was a bummer. So be vigilant on that one all the way through. We'll cover the answers. Like I said, I don't think it's on Wednesday. It's on Thursday, my bad. But your calendar in Canvas will give you the Zoom links to when we cover the quizzes once a week. A few hints. Use a study guide. It should be fairly obvious. There's a lot of material, and the study guide kind of helps you focus on where to look. There's optional mind tap homework. If you want to learn, if you don't feel like you're sharp on a particular area, you can do that. Vocabulary matters. So this is a bunch of these questions are fill in the blank questions and a bunch are multiple choice. So the difference there is recognize versus recall, right? In a multiple choice question, I'm asking you to recognize the right answer. In a fill in the blank question, I'm asking you to recall the right answer, obviously given there's no options. So that means you're going to be typing them into a box. A lot of times, like the vocabulary words, HR is a different, every discipline has their own language. HR is not special in this, but every discipline has their own language. So those vocabulary words are really going to matter on the quizzes. The other one, it sounds silly, but spelling. If you know you're a bad speller, I will show you grace because I will go through afterward and see it. But if you go through and you got one right, and at the end it says, no, you got that one wrong. You're like, no, I'm positive. You look it up, you're like, I know I got it right. You can send me an email if you want to tell me. It's totally great. Like, it'll be a good reminder, but I go through each one to see if somebody just spelled accommodation wrong, right? Or spelled human resources wrong or something like that. Try to spell accurately if you can. Chromebooks and backup plans. This is just an exhortation for you, and that is, technology is not perfect, and things that worked one week don't work the next week, and sometimes there's no clear explanation as to why. So have a backup plan for your technology, whatever it is. If it's, like I said, a PC, a roommate's laptop, going to the computer lab, whatever it is, have a backup plan in your head. You can ask your roommate now, hey, these are my test dates. Are you going to be in town in case the computer blows up? Hopefully you'll never need them, and it'll be no big deal. But especially if you do it late, meaning like the day the quiz is due and there's a problem, that's a bummer because, again, no late work. So have a backup plan for that as much as you can. Here's some helpful hints. Oh, it's almost like I was thinking that. Take every quiz early. So I'm going to open them up Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can take them any of those days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I recommend logging on and taking it Wednesday or else Thursday night after we have our meeting. That would be okay too. Worst case scenario, Friday morning. I really don't recommend taking quizzes Friday night because if there's any problems, there's nothing that really can be done about it. Turn in the assignments early. Assignments are available now. You can turn in your HR project concept right after watching this video. Totally fine. Just don't kick. I know it's easy to follow the Canvas calendar. Don't kick it out late. Do it as early as you can. Something may come up. You may get sick. You may want to go home, hang out with family, go on a trip with friends, whatever. Easy enough just to get it in. Have a backup plan. Again, as I said that, as well as a backup internet plan. Usually that ends up being someone's iPhone with a hotspot. Go slow and methodical on your environmental scans. Again, if they're not done right, it's a 0. And there's no way to make that up because at that point you've already seen the quiz. So I can't just give you that same quiz again. So slow, methodical, careful on that. Keep your eyes on the quiz. This is a weird one. Just keep your eyes on the quiz when you're taking it. And the quiz, I'm assuming, is the screen right here. So you're looking at the quiz and you're clicking an answer, and that's it. When people are kind of looking around and shuffling or the other monitor or whatever, it just flags the system, sends me a little note that says, hey, this person kind of looks like there was some trouble right here. So, but you got, like I said, lives and families and jobs and hobbies, and it's ski season or it's camping season or whatever. I totally get that. It's no problem. But reach out whenever you feel like it, and I'll get back to you. It is a fun class. There's tons of like crazy stuff you see in the news. You'd be like, oh, I see where that's coming from. There's a lot of current event stuff and some neat history of the evolution of the field as well. So hope you enjoy it. Keep in touch and have a great day.